The most magical time in all of League of Legends is finally here. The World Swiss stage? Hope is at its highest point. Will we get two teams out this year? Will we not? I don't know, but we're gonna find out. Now I gotta get my one negative thing out of the way, which is that yes, the Swiss stage is again going to be in the LEC studio, which means that at most 300 people are going to be watching. There are more people that are probably walking behind this camera right now in the next 10 minutes of me recording this than will show up at the LEC studio to watch this entire Swiss stage be played live. I refuse to accept that as reality. Riot, don't let it happen again. This is the last time I'm going to mention it. Now, you're probably wondering, why did I pick a random construction zone to record at for this particular episode? Well, if you don't know, I'm actually at the New York City Public Library at Bryant Park specifically. Now, this time of year, that right there is going to be the ice skating rink that thousands of people will end up going to. This area is just filled with magic come that time, but this is like the calm before the storm. This is them getting ready for that point. Much like I'm getting ready for this Swiss stage right now. Because honest to God, these are probably the two best teams that I've had faith to get out in years past. You go back to last year, while I did have faith in NRG, I think most people were down on the LCS, especially after 2022. The tide was kind of going against us. It was like, okay, there's 4 Korean teams, 4 Chinese teams in the crew. Are we really going to be able to get it? The answer was probably no. Apparently no tripods are allowed on the ground, so I have to hold this on a table for the rest of this episode, so this will be fun. I don't think many people had all that much faith in NRG last year, and because of that, the tide kind of felt a little meh. Cloud9 was on the downturn. Nobody thought they would do anything internationally. And then our 3 seed in Team Liquid, well, at the time at least, people kind of thought of APA and Yawn in the same way that they thought of Sniper coming into this tournament, which, hey, understandable, and we saw how that worked out. We ain't going to touch on the downturn of 100 Thieves. If you want to see that, go check out the full episode of the Rendezvous that I had there. This is all positivity. But when you look back at what actually happened, while yes, Team Liquid did bomb out at Worlds 2023, it started off pretty hot with a T1 team that didn't really have all that much going for them early on, or at least like the first 20 minutes of that game. It was doable, if you recall correctly. And weirdly enough, the draw has allowed us to kind of repeat that same fate this year. For those of you that don't know what happened with LNG, their mid laner Scout was apparently not going to be able to play due to contract issues of him being able to get out of the country, and it was a whole ordeal. They had a substitute player in Yagao ready to step in, but then everything worked out and now Scout's going to be here. But we don't know how much they've gotten to practice, nor how much they've been affected by this. So, if there was ever a team to take advantage of early on in the tournament and get a good draw against, although we'll never, Team Liquid will not have to play against LNG for the rest of at least the Swiss stage. Because of the no repeat rule in Swiss stage, Team Liquid can no longer play LNG. So if we beat them here, that's great. We don't have to play them in a best of 3. We move on, even better. Like, we get our one Asian win out of the way, which notably we did not get last year. Would it still be an upset? Yeah. Absolutely. I'm not going to try and sit here and tell you that APA is a better player than Scout, even if Scout is low on rest and low everything else. It's hard to say what Team Liquid's key to victory in this particular series is going to be because the meta has changed so drastically from what we saw it before. But for those worried about APA Syndra, might I remind you who he killed in Game 1 of Worlds last year? Yeah, they'll be fine. He'll be fine on picks like Syndra and Orianna. I have faith. For FlyQuest, they got the easiest layup in round 1. Gam? Are you kidding me? While Gam looked good against arguably the weaker side of the bracket and was able to get through 4-0 there, let's not lie and say it was confidence-inspiring. If you shut down Levi, you shut down this team. Period. At least so far. And if you're telling me that you expect Inspired to be able to beat Levi whenever Levi couldn't even make it, well, okay, that's not a fair comparison. That was probably 100 Thieves messing up to the point where Levi couldn't adapt in America. Point is, Inspired is the better jungler than Levi. And I'm looking for a breakout international performance again from Masu, this time on the world stage. Remember back to MSI, yes, FlyQuest did disappoint. They did not live up to the moment. Bwipo specifically had a really, really rough tournament. Masu looked great in that period of time, and I could damn well see him having another tournament where he looks phenomenal. Obviously, there will be later rounds in this tournament where I do expect Team Liquid and FlyQuest to possibly be able to both get wins, but at least for now, this is going to be our best chance that we got at it. This should be as close to a free win for Fly as you're ever going to get. For Team Liquid, this is one of the few Asian teams that you look at and it's like, yeah, this might be a 50-50. This might be doable if TL lives up to their expectations, but we did see TL flop in finals, so we could see them flop here. You never know. But let's quickly touch on the overall Swiss stage predictions that I got, and let me show you my pick'ems. So, thanks to 100 Thieves, my play-ins pick'ems got kind of screwed. I had to take one, obviously, out of like the teams that would be on the other side of the bracket. I thought maybe SHG would be able to get the job done, but nope, GAM proved me wrong. And now, by the way, if you have not seen the CEO of GAM, the dude, if you remember from like Worlds 2022 being amazing, and he's been on camera ever since, he ran a marathon in Berlin for the hell of it with no training. Dude is obnoxious. Currently, I am sitting with 14 points. Oh god, I'm C tier. Oh god, that's terrible. But for pick'ems, let's get this out of the way early. We're gonna go in exact order: the 3-0 teams into the 3-1 teams into the 3-2 teams. The two teams that I think are gonna go 3-0, even if this is obviously a trap given that we don't know like who's gonna pair up against who. Gen G and BLG. I think that's the safe bet. I think most people are gonna go with that. I think it's really not all that controversial. From there, oh man, do I really think T1 is gonna? Yeah, T1's always in Swiss stage like at that level, so yeah, I'll give them that. Hollow Life, I think, is the other one. They're one of my Dark Horse tournament favorites and my crystal ball prediction, so yeah, I'll say 3-1, and there's one other team that we have to put in, which would be, do I think top? Yeah, I'm gonna say top, which means we have 3 left. Team Liquid is going to be the first one that I'm going to predict. I do think that Team Liquid getting a win in that first round would be big, but just in general, you look at like who they would have to beat there. I think beating any of like D+ Kia, Fnatic, G2, Weibo, like that's possible, especially given that there's going to be 2 other teams that get through, one of which will be G2. I do think we'll have 2 Western teams out without problem. At least one LPL team is going to miss. LCK, you know, you could take your pick of whether it's going to be D+ Kia or whether it's going to be T1. I know the meta is going to be more back in DK's favor for sure, so this is probably a bold prediction to not take them, but I'm also North American, so if you think that I'm not taking both of the NA teams to get out, you're just simply wrong. Oh man, well, I wasted all that time for them to just do this. Who's going to go 3-0? Gen G, BLG. Oh, I have to pick one team. Ooh. Yeah, I'm going to stick with BLG. I think that's fair. I think them over Gen G, especially given some of the struggles that we've seen from Gen G and we don't know what to expect with them. Yeah, I think that's a very safe bet. One quick thing I do want to touch on before we wrap this up is the viewership of the play-in stage, which was phenomenal the entire way through. The average viewership was almost 1 million, and given that this is probably going to be the final year of, well, I think it actually is officially the final year of play-in stage. Everybody under next year's system will directly either go into Swiss, and there might be like one team to qualify at most. But for this to be the final one and for it to show promise like this is amazing. It's kind of sad because most of the minor region teams are all being consolidated. Many of the teams in the play-in stage are all just going to be part of the PCS as an entire region, which will directly seed into Swiss stage. Or for like Pain, R7, they'll all be part of the Americas, which now only get 3 slots in. So wow, it's a great farewell to the play-in stage of Worlds. I saw a lot of people, notably Cubby on Hotline League, that was like, I really didn't care for the play-in stage because he's a league purist and wants the highest quality gameplay. I'm not going to fault that opinion at the end of the day. If that's, you know, what you prefer, you want the highest quality league possible, then by all means fine. But for those of us that just enjoy Worlds for the entertainment and can enjoy every single stage of it, honestly, this play-in stage was probably one of the best, if not the best, other than 2022, where we saw like at the EG face up against Mad Lions and we were able to knock them out of the tournament before we got into Swiss stage. That was great. But just overall, there was excitement around this. And was it sloppy? Yeah, but who cares? It's entertainment. We're an entertainment product. I compare us more to wrestling than I do traditional sports. And yes, some of the earlier fights might be sloppier. They might not be as good of wrestlers, and or in this case, as good of players as those that will come later in the main events and the main draws. But like, you can still find a ton of entertainment and joy out of them. You just have to know what you're going in with. And there's no shame in that whatsoever. So honestly, I had a blast in the play-in stage. And it seems like everybody else did as well, despite, you know, the league purists wanting to think about it differently. Honestly, at this point, there's probably not much more to talk about when it comes to the LCS, at Swiss stage, and all this. We have spent weeks hyping up this particular moment, getting ready for it. People have previewed all the teams from all the different regions. There's nothing that I could say here that would give you new information or a new perspective that hasn't already been put out. Part that I can speak on is what it's like to be an LCS fan during this time when your team is now not in it. I'd still take pride in Team Liquid and in FlyQuest going and representing us on the international stage. If they fail, like, yes, I do wear that on my sleeve as much as everybody else does. It's not the same level of emotional tie that obviously somebody like Heart of Kyber, who's like a massive Team Liquid fan, or Monizzle, who I've had on this channel, like, I know how they're going to be feeling during this time. It's the same way that I felt watching 100 Thieves and play-ins. But for the rest of us, there is camaraderie that comes with uniting around your region and cheering them on for what will be the last time that the LCS ever appears on the international stage in this capacity. I want to have a good send-out. That good send-out could mean that we don't even get a team out. As much as I'm predicting it, as you saw earlier, yeah, there is a world where none of us get out that I would still actually somewhat be happy about. And that is if we had damn close series against Asia the entire time and we kicked Europe's ass out of the tournament. There's always this period of time where nerves start coming into play, like 2 or 3 days before. I saw Yike do an interview and he's like, yeah, North America deserves respect, and all of a sudden I just felt that hopium creeping right back in, and it was right back into the system, and now we just wait and see. We wait and see what happens. To all my NA brothers, sisters, and everybody else, let's kick off the madness. And wouldn't it be something if we kicked it off with a 2-0? Oh man, would that be fun.